Hi guys, it's Katie. Today I'm going to do Project Roundup. These are all the craft and DIY projects I've done in the last little bit. I think the last time I did one of these was this time last year when I showed the Christmas gifts that I made. That's a lot of what I made recently is Christmas gifts. I didn't do that much crafting in the beginning of the year because I had a tiny baby. So a lot of this is just like the last little bit here. I have my Halloween costumes for my children and then pretty much everything else I have done in November and December. So I will start with the Halloween costumes since they're sort of the older things. I showed a picture of these on Instagram, so I just made these hats, monkey hats. This larger one is for my 4-year-old daughter, and then this one was for my 1-year-old son. And this was by request. My daughter wanted to be monkeys. And then I made them each a tail. These are just crocheted tubes. So this little one for the baby and then a longer one. So this hit about, it went from her waist to about the back of her knee. So it was a nice long tail, monkey tail, and then I made his really short just to be manageable. And I will post the link to this pattern. I just made my own beanie and I followed the directions for making the face and the ears. And I embroidered the nose a little bit differently, but I like it a little bit better. I also made, I just realized I didn't grab it, but I made something like this for my husband without the face. So I made him a brown hat with the ears, and I purposely made the ears detachable. I'm not sure if he's taken the ears off or not, but that way he can just wear it as like a brown beanie. But he did wear it with the ears for like 2 or 3 weeks after Halloween at least, and I think he even said he went into the gym forgetting that I had ears and tried to talk to somebody at the front desk and didn't, sometimes it's okay to have ears on your hat when you realize it, but when you're trying to have a serious conversation, sometimes it's hard to take someone seriously when they have a monkey hat on. I also made some other hats. I made, I think like 8 or 9 altogether, and they're all pretty much the same pattern. This pattern is a variation of my rainbow swirls hat, which I have pattern written and a video on my channel here, and then I just put some ribbing on the bottom. So I did, this one has 3 colors, I made this one has 2 colors, again with the ribbing, and then this one has 6 colors. So this, I have a few ends still to hide, but this one is the one I kind of claimed for myself, so I probably will never hide these ends. I just tuck them up and wear it as is. I probably should take the 5 minutes to hide the ends. Looks like a jellyfish. But yeah, the rainbow swirls pattern is using these 6 colors, so that's how I did this, and then you just kind of divide it out to do the individual colors. So I have 3 hats here. I think I gave 5 hats. I made just variations, different colors, just using up some stash yarn that I have, and I'm trying to downsize a lot, so it worked out really well, especially if you do like 3 colors or more, because you don't need a lot of any one color. So I was able to use up a whole bunch of yarn, and then I made, like I said, I made 5 other hats that I gave to my daughter's preschool for their hat drive. So I made a bunch of hats, and actually the reason why I still have these, well, this one I claimed for myself. I've been wearing that, and my in-laws caught wind that I was making hats, and I kind of heard through the grapevine that they wanted hats. So I kept this one. I think my father-in-law will really like this. It is colors of his favorite sports team. I still have this thread end to put into. He likes the Washington Nationals, which are red and white and I guess trimmed with blue, and I don't know, I just think he would like that. And then this one for my mother-in-law, I think she will like the pink. So those are the hats that I made. I think everything else here is Christmas presents. I'll start with this big thing. This is a big Afghan. It's made with, this yarn is called Chateau, but it's like Bernette blanket. It's really thick and plush, and I used, let me see if I can find the hook. I used a giant crochet hook. I used this giant, like comically large crochet hook. This is a P hook. I actually have one bigger than this that's a Q hook, but this worked out really well for that weight of yarn. So my niece said she wanted a crocheted blanket, and she said she just wanted a simple one. She didn't really care about the design or the pattern or the size or anything. She gave me very little information, so this is what I came up with. It's just double crochet. And she gave me these 2 different colors, so I just did alternating blocks. So that's a whole skein's worth, and then another whole skein's worth. I was going to do like thinner stripes to get more stripes, but in the end this is what I ended up with. And then I just did a single crochet border on the end. But it's pretty big. I would say it's probably maybe 50 inches wide and maybe 65 inches long, and she's 10 years old. So it's nice, like a nice size for me, so I think it'll be plenty big for her. And it's kind of nice and squishy. I don't like this yarn, but it ended up with a nice blanket. I think she'll like it a lot. Oh, let's see. I have just one more crocheted item here, and this is Sleepy Bear. I followed a pattern for this. I will link down below. He is super duper cute. I've been working on him for a while. You know, usually when you see amigurumi little like plushy teddy bears and things, they're, you know, 4, 6, 8 inches. This was supposed to be 10 inches. It's more like 12 inches. And there's a reason why little bears like this and little animals are usually smaller, because this took forever. It was very simple. It's all single crochets, very simple construction. But yeah, it took a while. And I added a tail on the back because the pattern didn't have a tail. And I thought that it needed a tail. And also it helps it sit up a little better. So I was going to put some like beans or something in the bottom, but I ended up not doing that. It's just stuffed with polyfill. Can you see him? And he's got a sleepy face, so I thought that was cute. The pattern is supposed to be all one color, but like I said, I'm using up as much stash yarn as possible. So I had everything here. I had all of the yarn, all of the polyfill. So basically this was made with zero out-of-pocket at this time. I bought this yarn at one point, but I didn't have to buy anything else to make this, so that's really nice. But I didn't think that I would have enough of the light blue to do the whole bear, and I didn't. I only have like a ball about that big left. So I did this other color of blue, so I thought it made it look like he's wearing a shirt or a top. Anyway, super duper cute, and you know, it's like I said, he's a little bigger than I thought he was going to turn out. I didn't check my gauge, so that's like 100% my fault. But he's going to be about 2/3 the size of my son because he's just 13 months. So he can grow into it. Hopefully he likes it. He's really starting to play with toys in a really fun way. So I'm excited to see that. We went to the library the other day and they have hand puppets. And he picked one up and hugged it and patted its back and gave it, like, legitimately gave it a hug. Not just me being his mom imagining that he's the sweetest boy in the world. He is actually literally the sweetest boy in the whole world. So hopefully he loves that bear. Let's see, also for him, I made him a few things for his stocking. If you watched my What's in My Daughter's Stocking video, I may have said that I wasn't going to get him a stocking, and I was rightly called out for that. So I am making him a stocking. The problem with finding stocking stuffers for 1-year-olds is a lot of things are just too small, not age appropriate. The things that are age appropriate are kind of expensive, if you know what I mean. I'm pretty picky when it comes, especially when my kids are younger, about the materials that things are made out of. I want them to be, of course, non-toxic, preferably natural materials if possible, and things like that. So that's why I was just not going to get him anything, because I couldn't think of anything short of buying him like a bunch of $15 toys. You know, it was hard for me. So I had some ideas after I decided I was going to, in fact, make him a stocking. I had some ideas. I was going to get him some big crayons. The crayons that my daughter uses are the thin, you know, regular kind. They can break and become a choking hazard, so they're not for children under 3. But they make these big egg-shaped ones that the child can hold really easily and they won't break. They're pretty expensive, and the reviews said that they just shatter very easily, and so I didn't want to get that, of course. I didn't want to waste my money and then still end up being a choking hazard. So I had the idea to kind of make my own big chunky crayons. So I have a little silicone mold, and I just broke up some of, my daughter's crayons and melted them in the oven. There's a million tutorials on this, but basically I just broke up pieces and put them in the silicone mold, and I think I put it in for like 10 minutes at 200 degrees or something like that until they melted down. And I started making more and more of these, and I had to like force myself to stop because they're a lot of fun. And I was using up all of like the bits of crayons from my daughter's crayon box, and then I started like peeling perfectly good crayons and breaking them up, so I was like, it's time to stop. This one I tried to like lay them in stripes. Most of these other ones I just broke up in either small or large pieces. This one I used sort of larger pieces of crayon, and then some of them, like this one, you can see there's a bunch of tiny little pieces. Let's see, I got a few more. I'll show you them all, even though that one didn't turn out so great. But you know, as they color and some of these colors get worn down, maybe there'll be surprises inside. This one, the back side's kind of murky. That was the surface when they were baking, but this one might be one of my favorites. It has lots of color variations. And then this one, it's supposed to be red and green for Christmas, but the green kind of turned black. So those are all red and green, and then pretty much all the rest I just did all of the colors. So but yeah, I could have done that all day. I could have used up all of her crayons, but that probably would not have been very well received on her end. But anyway, these he can clutch onto them. They're not going to break easily, and he can scribble with them, and I don't have to worry about them choking. I guess technically if it can fit through, what do they say, a toilet paper tube, it's a choking hazard. This probably could fit through it, but anyway, I have a larger silicone mold that's more like a cupcake shape, so I thought about using that, but I know this is what I ended up. So I just put them in this little goodie bag, and then they'll probably be stored in my daughter's crayon box, and then whenever they're, you know, coloring together, he can use those ones. And then another thing that I made for his stocking was I wanted to just get him a small ball or a small toy or something. I didn't want it to be plastic, and I wanted it to be like made out of natural materials. So I was going to crochet him balls, but he already has some. Like I made some of those for my daughter that he plays with now. When my daughter was a baby, I made crocheted balls, and now my son uses them. So I didn't want to just crochet some more, but I ended up making these little wool balls. And these are felted wool balls. I'll show you the first one I made. I just made a ball, the yellow ball, and then I wrapped the other colors of yarn, and then I felted it. And these are basically dryer balls. If you've ever seen those wool dryer balls, I basically followed the directions for making wool dryer balls, but it's a toy. It's not a dryer ball. I'm not giving my child a dryer ball for Christmas. I'm giving them a toy. It's a ball, okay? So I made that one. And then this one is just variegated yarn, and it's just a ball. So you can see all the colors. You can kind of see the thread still. I might run these through the washer and dryer one more time to see if they'll tighten up a little bit more. And then I made this one. I ended up getting this blue, was more of like a roving yarn, so I was able to kind of shred it up and make these sort of polka dots all over. And I used a needle felting tool to put these on. These other ones I made just in my washing machine basically, but I thought that was really cool. And then I made this one. Maybe these two I won't give them, I'll just keep in my dryer because I did like having them in my dryer when I was making them. I put them through the dryer a few cycles, so I don't know, I just was kind of experimenting. And again, these were so much fun. I had to stop myself because I needed to finish that Afghan, and I couldn't like spend days and days making these, which I really wanted to. And then the last two I made, I'll show you the back side. This one I put my son's name on. Actually, I'll show you his first initial is C. So it says his name across, and then on the back side I made this star, and I just kind of free-handed this, so it's not, you know, perfect, but it's good enough. And then my daughter, again, I made her name on the back side, and for hers I put a heart. When I was first making these, I showed my daughter and I said, do you think your brother will like this? And she was like, no. And I was like, why not? Of course he's going to like it. It's a ball, and he loves balls of other kinds. She's like, no, he's not going to like it. And I said, why not? And she said, we're just going to argue over it. And basically she was saying that she wanted it for herself, and they, you know, they're at an age where they kind of steal things back and forth from each other, and it becomes a problem. So that's why I ended up making this one for my daughter, and then like all of our toys, they both end up playing with them. And let's see, the last thing, ooh, this video is already long. Like I said, I did a lot of crafting, but it was all just this like last stretch. The last thing I have is back here. I'm gonna pull it out so you can see it. It's not something that I made, I just fixed it up. All right, so this is for my daughter. This is sort of her big gift, and it's a wooden dollhouse. I showed this, I mean, I've probably had this dollhouse for 2 years now. I can't even remember exactly when I got it. When I first got it, I got it at Goodwill. I showed it in a thrift haul, and it was, it's a really nice dollhouse, and it's wooden, and it's sturdy, and I love the design of it, but somebody did not take good care of it. There was crayon on it, there was marker on it, it looked like somebody had taken a pencil and drawn on it, and a pencil or a ballpoint pen or something, and gouged the wood. And then so somebody tried to fix that, so they spray painted half of it, and then they slapped some paint on sloppily on half of it, and then I guess they just gave up and donated it to Goodwill. So I wanted to hopefully sand it down, because I think originally it's supposed to be bare wood, and I sanded and sanded and sanded for hours and hours and hours with my palm sander, and I got a lot of it looking really, really nice. But like all of these details in here, it was impossible to get it to look right. There was, you know, there's all these nooks and crannies where the paint, I couldn't get it out anyway, and so I was doing all that work for nothing. So I did end up having to paint it. A big reason why I wanted to sand it and not paint it was because I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted it to look. I gotta sit on this crochet hook. I wanted it to look sort of like a real house, but kind of also fun at the same time, if you know what I mean. I didn't want it to look like totally comical or cartoonish because it is a wooden dollhouse, and I think it's, you know, the quality is nice, so I think this is something that can be, you know, used for a long time. So I kind of hemmed and hawed. I ended up with this color scheme. I actually have, this paint was used in our house, so I had that. The white paint also was used in our house, so those are like Sherman-Williams paints. And then I had this bottle of this dark blue, or dark purple, and this is just like acrylic craft paint. So I think it's kind of got a little bit of best of the both worlds. It's got the brown roof and sort of like a color scheme that you may see in some eccentric old woman's house, but it's still, like, you know, colorful and fun, and purple is her favorite color. So I ended up, the only thing that I had to purchase for this gift was this lavender paint, and it was like 77 cents at Michael's for some acrylic craft paint. But yeah, I thought that for the floor I didn't want to paint it. Like these flat pieces were easy to get like sanded down all the way down, nice and smooth, nice and even. It was more like this front that was hard to sand down. So I didn't want to just repaint this after I sanded it down. So what I did is I took some of this brown paint and watered it way, way, way down, like 90% water, 10% paint of this brown. And I just kind of washed it over here so it kind of looks like stained hardwood floors. When I first got this, and if you watch that thrift haul, I talked about like painting the rooms and putting artwork on the walls and doing different things like painting on it. But after I did all of this, I just decided to leave it as is. And I'm not 100% happy with the paint job. I'm not the best at painting, especially when it comes to like trim and very precise work. Also, I was using, like I said, the cheapest acrylic paint from the craft store and using like the paintbrushes that I had that came in my daughter's watercolor set. So it probably would have been easier if I had slightly better tools, but I wanted to try to make this work. So yeah, there's like, you know, sometimes between the margins of two different colors, it's hard to get like a perfectly straight line. But I did the best I could, and it, you know, when you're painting your house, I feel the same way, like, oh my gosh, that's not perfect. But once you get the furniture in and once you live in it in a week, you don't even notice it, mostly. So there's 6 rooms, 3 in the top and 3 on the bottom, and these doors that open. I showed all this in that thrift haul, but I love this dollhouse. I think it's super cool. And then a couple weeks ago, Lidl they had a dollhouse similar to this. It was smaller and not as nice as this, and I think they were selling it for $60. So they had those at Lidl, and then they had a whole bunch of different sets of dollhouse furniture to go with it. And I asked the grandparents to go ahead and buy those. So she's getting from my parents, my husband's parents, and then also my brother and sister-in-law. They each got a couple sets. So she's going to get all of the sets, and she's going to be able to open them when we go to the different houses for Christmas. So she'll be able to fill up her dollhouse. So she'll get this on Christmas morning from us, and then she'll be able to fill it up with all of the things as she, you know, collects them from relatives. So I'm really excited to see what it looks like once it's all furnished. So there's 6 sets that she's getting from my family. I think there's 5 rooms. Bedroom, bathroom, nursery, living room, and kitchen, and then one of the sets is dolls, so she'll have everything to fill up her dollhouse. She's at an age where most of her toy playing is acting out scenes anyway, so it's kind of cool to have little dolls in their little dollhouse. They can do their thing. But yeah, I felt really good to get this done. This one was kind of a bear. This was not the most fun project, but I'm glad that it's done now. It's been disassembled in my craft room for 2 years, so it's nice to have it put together and put back to good use. Alright, so that's going to do it for me. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'd love to know what you crafted for Christmas gifts or holiday gifts or just for yourself. I always love to hear what people are making. I don't even know when my next project roundup would be, probably next Christmas. But if you want to follow me on Instagram, that's most likely where I would post photos of things as I make them. So if you want to see the kind of things that I'm making in my kitchen or my craft room, be sure to follow me on Instagram. All my social media links are down in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! I almost forgot this little project. I did a video tutorial on this ornament, so I also made a few of those.